Thanks, Wendy. I don't, if you're in charge of the call, it'd be helpful if you give me permission, whatever you need to do, so I can share my screen
You
when I
have
get to
it.
that point. Okay, great. Um, well, welcome. Glad to be here. It's been a while since I've done this, well over a year, because this is the sort of thing I would do in person. So I used to do this before COVID hit, of course, and I have not done this for a couple of reasons. I haven't had the opportunity to do it on Zoom, but I have since taken a job with another company, so I'm not an independent consultant at the moment. And so this might be a little bit rusty, but this was something I kind of did on the regular for a while, going around to the groups and trying to help folks convey to people what it is that you do. So I would be curious if there's a volunteer out here who has anything, who has an elevator pitch at this moment, who's not afraid to just kind of share what it is that you say. If we were live in person and I walked up to you and I asked you, what do you do? Who would be, just anybody, who the first person to unmute your mic and say it gets it.
I'm Kathleen.
Okay.
I'm a copywriter for mission-driven businesses, and what that means is that I help elevate mission-driven businesses' voices so that they can increase their impact and their revenue, and I do that by writing their websites and blogs and email sequences.
Okay, well, that's great. And the reason why I asked that, what I would typically do when I do this, I'm not going to do it today in the interest of time and because I'm not so sure that it translates so well on Zoom. But frequently what I would do is go around the room and ask everybody to tell me what it is that you do. And the first thing most people would say, Kathleen kind of got to it, but the first thing they would say is, well, I am a, and I'm also a former English teacher. So I'm like, you didn't tell me what you do. You told me who you are. You told me who you are. You didn't tell me what you do. And the key thing to think of with your elevator pitch, and I talk about doing a 10-second pitch before you ever get into anything much longer than that, because what you want to do is convey what it is that you do, because people want to know what it is you can do for them. They want to know what you can do for them. They don't terribly care about who, they don't care too much who you are in the beginning, especially if what you're saying is kind of this long drawn out, well, here, this is who I am, and these are all of the things that I offer. I want to know what it is that you do in terms of how what you do helps me or helps somebody I know. Like, what are the benefits that you bring to other people? What are the results that they realize after working with you? Now, it sounds like that might be a really challenging thing to do in 10 seconds. And it is, it takes a little bit of work to refine that. But when I was doing, when I was an independent marketing consultant, my 10-second pitch, when people would ask, what do you do? I'd say, I can find any small business owner $10,000 in 45 minutes or less for free, and I guarantee it. Boom, as in 10 seconds. And every time I would say that, what do you think was the question that would come back to me after I said that? Just, does anybody have any idea what that might be?
How do you do it?
Yeah, how do you do it? So the reason why you do that is because you want somebody to say, oh, how do you do that? That's when you go into your 30-second speech, because the 30-second speech is going to be lost on a bunch of people to whom it's just not relevant if you're just kind of pulling that thing out all the time. So, conserve your energy, unless you want to just have a conversation to make a connection with somebody. I don't think any connection is ever wasted. But if you're in a networking event, and the point is you are trying to connect with the people who are going to most benefit from what it is that you do, and particularly if you're in a large space and you got a lot of folks to get through, you kind of want to, let's get to the point quickly. And the way that I would say that, I would say it in sort of a way too that was, just kind of fun, and it wasn't what people would expect that I was going to say. And so then I would go into my 30-second pitch, if you will, which would be, well, how do you do that? And I'd say, well, how business owners are just terribly overwhelmed by all of the noise that's out there these days in terms of marketing their businesses. And they have a hard time, figuring out exactly who their market is and who they need to reach. And then I could go on and realize and have a little bit more engagement, because they invited me to do it, right? They asked me, they said, tell me more. And if somebody does that, and then your 30-second pitch, which we're not going to talk about today, but you are going to get something at the end of this call that will help you work on that when we get beyond it. But you want to get to the point where people are nodding their heads with that second bit, right? Here's what I do. Oh, how do you do that? Well, you know how. Oh, yeah, actually I do. Yeah, you're right. Get people to kind of be in agreement with what it is you're saying in terms of them understanding that the value that you bring to folks. So instead of running everybody through all of that today, what I just wanted to do in sharing my screen, and I'm gonna do this Let's see if I can find, here we go, this part of the screen right here. Hopefully you all can see my screen. And this is just kind of, this is sort of a template. You will find a version of this in what you're going to receive after this today so that you can work on this in your own time. Basically, the 10-second pitch is you start with I, so what is it that you do, with an action verb. So you're going to find that verb that really describes what it is your business does. You help, you guide, you teach, you review, you provide, you consult with, you assist, you grant, you give, whatever it is. And you can find some really good, strong words out there. Help is a very strong word. I help, I help people. And if you can't think of anything else, go with help, because you probably all help your clients do something, right? And then you bring in a negative emotion. Now, I've had some pushback from people saying, oh, you don't want to get negative. Well, this isn't about getting negative. This is about identifying with people's pain points. Because the reason why people come to any of us for our services is because they have a problem that they can't solve, and they want that solution. So you have to identify with the problem. So are they frustrated? Are your clients, why do your clients come to you for whatever it is that you provide? Is it because they're frustrated, they're overwhelmed, they're frightened, or they're desperate, they're angry, they're concerned? There's always a problem, there's a reason, there's something that people, so kind of identify what that is for your ideal client. What is the reason that people, why do they come to you? What are they suffering from? Identify with that. Then you have your ideal client description. So again, ideal client is you've probably gone over this many times too, in terms of, figuring out your avatar. Who is the ideal person you serve in your business? But who is that person? You can create that avatar. Is it somebody who loves dogs, or somebody who's in constant physical pain? Is it somebody who's looking to lose some weight? Is it somebody who runs a business and they're struggling with their cash flow? What is it? And come up with that description. So I help, struggling business owners that, you kind of see how this template works. You can kind of plug and play here to get started on it, who want to. So the next thing you're going to talk about is, what is it that they want? What, when you're struggling in a particular area, what do you want the result to be on the other side? So you're looking to increase your profits. If you're a plumber, you want to find an ominous plumber, because you don't, it's very easy to get taken by somebody who does work that you don't understand. Find relief, get the best, whatever it is. What is it that your clients want? What do they want? Here's their pain point. What is it that they want? And then you find the solution. So, you want to increase your profits. What's the solution to that? Well, maybe you discover a process, or you learn an easy way, or you realize the best course of action. Again, play with this. It's kind of an easy template. This is what I do. These are the negative emotions. Here's your ideal client who want to do something. Here's the solution. And then the best thing you can do to tack on the end of that is so that they can, because we want a solution for an ultimate reason. There's an end goal, so that we can do what? Feel like you're getting value for your money, live a pain-free life, receive the highest level of expertise. So you notice that my 10-second pitch doesn't exactly follow this formula, but it started with this formula when I was putting it together. So you take this formula and you play with it. You plug in words, you kind of feel what sounds most reasonable, what sounds most accurate, what sounds most natural coming from you, and just use that as a framework to begin with. And you may be able to shorten it down. You may be able to kind of take some of these elements out of it, but still convey the same message. So if I come to you and I say, I can find you $10,000 and I can do it in 45 minutes or less, for free, and I guarantee it, I've hit some pretty interesting points there. It's kind of like, I really want to know more about that. And if I'm a business owner who is looking to maximize the profits that are coming in, or create more profits, or somehow another way improve my cash flow, I'm going to want to hear what this person has to say, and I'm going to ask her to tell me more. And so when you're talking to your ideal clients, that's the message you want to get. It may not follow this template at all, but start with this template, create something using this template to help folks understand what it is that you do, and try to keep it within 10 seconds. If it goes to 12, you're fine. But if you go much longer than that, it's very easy to lose people's interest. And you want to really get their interest in the beginning, so that they're like, oh, yeah, wow, okay, tell me more. Whatever it is you compose, that's what you want to do with that first 10 seconds. Don't go on and on and on about, I'm the person who does this and my clients can do this and that. you're going to lose you lose a lot of people that way. If you can come up with something very short, very succinct, powerful, gets their attention, probably not what they're expecting you to hear, then what you'll be surprised how many people will ask you to keep going. They'll say, hey, they're not asking you in these many words, but they're really saying, hey, go ahead and give me your longer elevator pitch, because I really want to know more about what it is that you do. So basically, that's it as far as this presentation. It usually takes a little bit longer, like I said, because I'll go around the room and ask everybody and we'll work on some things together. But I think as long as you have this structure to work with, maybe during the course of this conversation, if any of you have taken any notes and scratched something out and want to share it, we can talk about it. And if you have any questions, please ask them of me here. But that's pretty much my talk. Get your initial pitch down to 10 seconds, and then people will ask you for the rest of it.
I have a revised version if you want.
Already. There you go. There you go. All right, Captain.
I amplify voices of overwhelmed, mission-driven business owners who want to increase their impact and their revenue so they can benefit their communities to the greatest level possible.
I like what you've done there. I would continue to play with it to see if you can get a little more succinct. And, listen, if you're a writer, I am too. So, I mean, I get it. Like, we love to play with words. But basically for the 10-second thing, simpler is better. It's good. Find the simpler words, find the words that folks are, that nobody's going to say, I don't understand what that word means, because some of those words that you said are not going to necessarily resonate with people right away. So just try and make that first one just real simple, to the point. Just keep playing with it. I mean, that's a great start. Just keep playing with it, chopping it down. And then I think you can kind of flesh it out with some more of the exquisite language that I know you are, I know drives you.
Thank you.
Yes.
So Sue, when you do the 10-second, like, is there a time or a place for that versus the 30-second?
What I always recommend is just the 10-second is really what you ought to go with, generally speaking, first. And if you're asking, the right person, the person who's going to be interested in what it is that you do, they're going to go ahead and ask you when they say, how do you do that? That's where your 30-second comes in. So I recommend not launching into your 30-second right away, especially because, we've all been doing this networking stuff so long, everybody's got one of these pitches, and everybody kind of whips it out, and it can get a little stale, it can get a little old, especially when you lead with it. So if you can come up with something that's unexpected and pithy, and, just gets people's attention right from the beginning, and is kind of laid back and casual, when I say that, it sounds, when I say what I say, I can find any business owner 10th, it sounds a little bit stilted, but I say it in a way that's sort of relaxed and joking enough that I can establish some rapport with folks right from the get-go. So that's why you want to keep playing with this, so you can make it your own. And it's kind of your signature opening line. And people recognize it as a signature opening line, but they're not expecting it's going to be 10 seconds. They're not expecting you're going to kind of drive a home run right out of the gate in a way that they're going to say, hey, I want to know more about what it is that you do, because that doesn't happen all the time. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. Of course it does. There's a reason that the 30-second elevator pitch has been around forever, and that we've been encouraged to do it. It has its place. It's important. I just think that the 10-second comes first, because you're in the best position when somebody asks you for that 30-second pitch. And because if they ask, they're more attuned to listen. They may zone out after 15 seconds if they didn't ask you to do it. Even the shortest attention span can listen for 10 seconds.
Katie, did you want to? Oh, Estelle.
Oh,
Yeah.
Katie, you can go first.
No, but Stella, you get it, girl.
Oh, okay. Well, I worked on it here, so let me know what you think.
Okay.
I help frustrated women ditch the diet so they can eat what they want and still have lasting results.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Excellent. You got this right away, girl.
Okay, so I was writing one as Sue was going over her slide, and then I took the feedback that Sue gave Ms. Kaplan, so I have a shorter version now, and mine is, I help frustrated professionals better understand how to make digital marketing strategies create success for them.
Good. A good start. I would personally, looking at that, digital marketing strategy is one of those things that I think for some people, it's like, well, that is, why do we do digital marketing strategy? Think about this from the perspective always of the end user, of your potential client. So they don't, if I'm your client, I don't care, digital marketing strategy might sound overwhelming to me. What does that really mean to me? How does it benefit me? I would kind of take that term out and see if I could find another way to say I do. You don't even have to necessarily say that. You could just talk about the benefit you bring to them in that 10-second pitch. This is what I do, so that, and then bring the digital marketing into that 30-second pitch. How do you do it? Well, digital marketing is a very important part of how I do that, for instance. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. I'm going to rewrite. I'll be back.
Okay.
Do I put one? I've heard you do a longer version of this. I forget where, but it was good. Enjoyed it a while ago. Yeah. So good to see you. And yeah, I missed seeing you at WBON. So yeah.
It's been a while. Yeah.
Yeah. We actually had our first in-person thing recently. But anyway, I put one up in the chat. It was outside, by the way. So it was all socially distanced and all. So I put, I help small business owners who are frustrated with bills piling up to double, triple, or more their income so they can make a big, bold, badass impact in the world.
Love it. Love it. There you go. There you go.
Not sure about the badass, but that is me. It's like,
know your audience.
That energy.
Right. You got to know your audience. Some audience is going to love badass. Some audience, maybe not so much.
Yeah. I'm not for people who are scared. Who are scared to go for it. Let's put it that way.
Right.
So this 10-second pitch is really about the result. It's not necessarily about what we do to achieve that result.
Yes, you really are focusing on what, this is the problem that I solve, and this is kind of how you might experience life on the other side.
The 10 seconds I see as just to pique their curiosity.
Yes.
Pique their interest.
Yep.
So that's what mine is I help women figure out how best to keep themselves and their families safe in their space, wherever that may be.
There you go.
Can I give you a shorter one?
Sure.
Okay. I helped overwhelmed mission-driven business owners maximize their revenue and change the world.
Okay. Feel free if you all have feedback that you want to give for each other too. I'm not the only arbiter of this. You tell me if it grabs you. I know I'm kind of leading this discussion, but
Now we have a couple people who they kind of wear, 2 or 3 different hats. Mm-hmm. And so is it good for them to show only one hat or incorporate the 2 hats, or what do you think is good for them to do?
Well, I think for a 10-second, you can only wear one hat, right? Like, and I think you kind of got to know your audience. So, you just put that hat on, and if, in the course of the rest of the conversation with whoever you're talking with, you find that one of those other hats may be an appropriate one to put on, then, switch the hat. But I would come up with a 10-second pitch for each of those hats, and, you just take them out as you think you need them.
Thank you, Wendy, because I was actually going to ask that because I do wear 3 hats, but I can say you need a great headshot and great makeup and lashes. I'm your gal, and I could do that in 10 seconds and drop the nail part because I just, I'm more focused on this part than this when I'm doing photography. So,
right.
And Tammy, I wonder if we're really focusing on the results. If you could boil all 3 of them down to something like building women's confidence, or and that these are 3 tools that you have to do whatever that umbrella result is that you're looking for.
Oh, if you look at my website, it actually has like literally something, and it's like 10 seconds. It does like build confidence, great photo session, boom, boom, done, but it kind of like breaks it down. I have it down, but I've done it in 10 seconds, and Wendy knows that I've got all 3 done. I literally did it so fast. They were like, how did you do that? That's not even 30 seconds. You did. Because it was like, it just came out. It was just like boom, boom, boom. Because I do try to keep it 10 to 15 seconds. 30 sometimes is a little long for me, but I could do a quick one. I'll have to. And people see my photography work, and because I'll have my photography shirt on, but they'll also see my makeup at the same time, so they'll ask questions because they see the product.
Well, the thing is, what's the result you want to create for someone? That's the question. It's not really about
Yep.
how we do it, but what is the exact result you want to create for people? Do you want them to feel beautiful and confident? Do you want them to, to feel radiant and step out in their lives, and get out of their comfort zone? What is the result you want? Because actually, I think you can integrate all of what you do. And I would say that to everyone here, lead with the thing that people most need that makes you more money, because you want to be a sustainable business. But also think about, you are drawn to those other things because they feed into your mission. And so you got to figure that out. When where do they feed in? I mean, by you, I mean, all of us, one must.
Well, when I'm talking to a man, I say, don't make you look stiff in your photo session. And man, that gets them right away. They're like, thank you so much. Tell me more. I mean, I just say that. I don't make you look stiff or feel stiff, because I hate that stiff look. And I use the word stiff with women too, but men, when I say it, I get a bigger chuckle out of it than I do with the women.
Okay, so I have another revision, ladies. Are we ready?
Yes.
I help frustrated professionals achieve success and reach their goals.
I feel like that's gone in the opposite direction.
Right?
Where now I'm like, okay.
I'm trying.
Get a little more specific about the goals and relate them to the particular frustrations that you help them solve, that you do, right? Because everybody here can probably help some professionals, reach their goals, depending on what the goals are and depending on what their pain points are. But what are the pain points of your ideal client? And this is another thing we don't have time to go into today, but really sussing out who your ideal client is. And your ideal client's a couple of basically your ideal client boils down to this. It's the person who can most benefit from what you do, who can afford to pay you for what it is that you do, and who you want to work with, right? So that because some people you just don't want to work with. I mean, we've all been there, right? It's like, no, thank you. So you got to spend some time, as I'm talking about this elevator pitch today. Really, the more foundational piece is figuring out who do you deliver this pitch to, because you want to be talking to the right people. You want to know where they hang out, So if a woman, for instance, is your ideal client, then you're going to be doing this a lot of these women's networking meetings, and if the women is part of that avatar. If you are going to be, if your business is targeted to folks who are, so my business, for instance, the company I work for, we've got several different target markets. Some of them are in law enforcement, some of them are in the military, and some of them are athletes, and some of them are backpackers, kind of like outdoors folks. So yeah, I'm going to be talking to each of those markets differently depending on where I am, but I'm probably not, from a business perspective, it's probably not in my best interest to spend my networking time, going to a group of freelance, spending some time with like freelance photographers, right? Like that's not going to be my ideal client. I'm going way out there, just saying. But all of those different markets, they're different places, and I'm going to go to different places and make different connections and say different things to different folks. But I've got to figure out my pitch. My pitch could be the most perfect pitch in the world, but it ain't going to land, in Tammy's group of photographers. If I say, hey, we've got a shirt that we manufacture a shirt that makes your heavy gear feel more comfortable. What does that? That doesn't mean to anybody who is not wearing heavy gear, right? So you got to know your audience. You have to know who you're talking to before the pitch is going to land, right?
The other thing I would add to that, Sue, I like the three things you said. Those are really good. Can you repeat them? The three
Which-
people, the three parts of that, your ideal client, your ideal.
Yes. So your ideal client is a person who has a problem you can solve,
Mhm.
who has the money to pay you for helping them solve that problem. So your ideal client is not the person who doesn't have the money for it. Just keep that in mind. And it's also a person who you want to work with. So, you know, if you don't want to, if it's somebody who just happens to be kind of difficult, or somebody who, you know, earlier we were talking about the isms. Maybe this is somebody who espouses some of those isms. And you're like, oh no, I don't want to work with that person. Well, that's not your, you know, clearly not your ideal client. So you when you create this, and if you haven't done the work of creating an ideal client, creating an avatar, I strongly suggest you do it. There's plenty of resources you can tap into to figure that out. But there are some folks who say, you know, go ahead and create that avatar right down to the person's name, and, you know, create a life for them, right? Like, what does their life look like? Are they, you know, do they live in the city? Do they live in the suburbs? Are they partnered? Are they single? Are they older? Are they, you know, younger? You know, just all kinds of demographic information. And then you go even deeper into psychographic information, which is which has more to do again with kind of their pain points and worldviews and those sorts of things. So you know, there's some things you can see on the surface and other things are deeper, and it's a really worthwhile exercise to go through and create your ideal client, because then you start thinking, well, where do I find these folks who I really want to work with? You know, where do I find them?
I want to add something to what you said too, Sue, and that is that, and I teach this in my business presentations and with my clients, that your ideal client is a version of you. And usually they're a version of you from, say, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, even 10 years ago. So whatever the struggles are and challenges that you have, or the things that you've overcome in your life, in your business, if you just look back 3, 5, 10 years, your ideal client will be a version of you. And you'll understand because you walked that path, right? You've been there where they were. So you get it. I walked the path of like, you know, I want a 6-figure business. How do I create it? And now I've created it. And so doing that, it's like, okay, now I've got the process. So yeah, your ideal client is in you. They're something of you, your identities. Maybe you were a teacher before, maybe you were a firefighter, whatever. You know, you were an English teacher, Sue, me too, at one point.
Right.
I was the renegade though. Always busting up the canon, all the white male guys. I was like, sorry, that's not my canon. I'm gonna teach something different. So yeah, look in your past, everybody. You've got there you. Look in the mirror. Look at all pictures of yourself. It'll bring it back.
Thanks, Barnsley. I wanted to let everybody know that I put a PDF in the chat, and you can save it, or I will be sending it out in the weekly email. It is Sue offered to share that with us at the end of the presentation. It is her, is it like a little book, an ebook or something that you created?
Just a little ebook, yeah.
Yeah, on actually rocking your pitch. So feel free to browse that and critique it and use it and make your, or critique your elevator pitch and see what it can do for you. Are there any other questions? We got 10 minutes left for announcements and accolades.
And I just want to say thank you all for having, if I can just do this, and it's so good to see Linda and like so many familiar faces. And Demi, it's nice to be getting back into the world again. Hope to see you all out in the world soon. I'm going to jump off if you don't mind, so I can get to my next appointment. But it was really great to be here and to connect with you all today. Thank you for having me.
Great
Thank
seeing
you, Sue.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Great job,
Sue.
girl.
Thank you guys. You all take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
I'm going to stop the recording.